Some praise socialism for its equality and justice with a fair distribution of resources, while others condemn it as a system that always fails, bringing suffering and misery in its wake. But what is it? Capitalism versus Socialism Part 2. What is socialism? Welcome to Into the Desert, exploring the wilderness of ideas. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to support our channel and our mission of encouraging discussion, not division, please join us on Patreon. The link is in the description. In the first of our 3-video examination of capitalism versus socialism, we looked at how capitalism was based on choice and competition. Yet, if capitalism is as wonderful as its supporters claim, why did socialism emerge? After all, socialism was a response, in some respects, to what opponents saw as capitalism's ills. One reason is that there is a significant difference between a system and the transition to that system. A system may be great, but the transition to that system may be fraught with problems. In this case, capitalism was a key factor in the Industrial Revolution, and the transition was not easy. For the average worker, it was downright painful. Will and Ariel Durant described the transition to capitalism.
Both employer and employee had to change their habits, skills, and relations. The employer, dealing with ever more men and in a faster turnover, lost intimacy with them, and had to think of them not as acquaintances engaged in a common task, but as particles in a process that would be judged by profits alone. We must not idealize the condition of the common man before the Industrial Revolution. Nevertheless, we may say that the hardships to which he was subjected were such as had tradition, habituation, and in many cases the open air to soften them. As industrialization advanced, the hardships of the employee were mitigated by shorter hours, higher wages, and wider access to increasing flow of goods from the machines. But the half-century of transition from craft and home to factory after 1760 was for the laborers of England one of inhuman subjection, sometimes worse than slavery.
For many, competition, with its winners and losers, is harsh and seems chaotic and inefficient. These problems were aggravated further by the unbridled competition that led to exploitation and monopolies that marked the early phases of capitalism. It was only towards the end of the 19th century that the need for antitrust legislation became apparent. As a result of the problems that plagued early capitalism during the 19th century, an alternative began to gain ground: socialism. Socialism is a very broad term, encompassing many subgroups, from its more extreme forms found in communism and fascism to the more benign forms of democratic socialism currently found in much of Europe. Still, they all have a crucial component that sets them apart from capitalism: controlling the economy by using centralized planning. Instead of the chaos of uncontrolled competition found at the core of capitalism, socialism emphasizes planning. As F.A. Hayek notes,
socialism means the abolition of private enterprise, of private ownership of the means of production, and the creation of a system of planned economy in which the entrepreneur working for profit is replaced by a central planning body.
Hayek discusses pure political theory, and there is ultimately no such thing as a pure socialist or capitalist government. Rather than two binary choices, economics is a spectrum, with actual governments falling somewhere between and mixing these approaches. Still, the difference between capitalism and socialism is not trivial. Capitalism leads economic choices to the marketplace, driven by individual consumers and competing businesses. Businesses succeed or fail based on how well they respond to consumer demand. Socialists see this as wasteful. When a company produces a product consumers do not want, it wastes money and effort. When a business fails, the capital and effort that went into that business are lost. The concept of profit itself is seen as wasteful. In some cases, such as healthcare, they see it as immoral. Why not just do the same thing without the profit? That way, the extra money that would typically go to profit can make the desired goal even better, such as better healthcare or feeding people. To avoid all this waste, they look to planning. In a planned economy, the government, not the consumer, makes the ultimate economic decisions. Different types of socialism have various levels of planning and control. Communism and fascism make almost all the decisions. The main difference being that communism holds that state ownership is a prerequisite for the plan, whereas fascism allows private ownership just so long as there is still strict state control to follow the plan. Democratic socialism makes only some of the more critical decisions. But the core of socialism is that, ultimately, it is the government, not the consumer, which controls the economy. You can do what you want within the confines of the plan. An example of the difference between capitalism and socialism would be in housing. In a capitalist system, the role of government would be to ensure the business environment allows builders to build homes and apartments that could compete in the marketplace. This would include things like building codes, laws around home financing, etc. Builders and home buyers would determine what was built. If builders build too many homes or the wrong type, then the builder suffers. In a socialist system, the government tries to be more efficient by determining future housing needs and making decisions about how many and what type of houses or apartments to build based on those needs. The government would then build the houses. In this way, socialism can avoid the excess cost from profit and the waste of too many builders building too many or the wrong type of homes. So, which is better? Choice and competition, or planning and control? We will take up that question in our next video. Do you agree with this definition of socialism? Do you have a better definition? Let us know down in the comments. And if you made it this far, consider watching one of our other videos and supporting this channel on Patreon. Thank you again for watching Into the Desert, exploring the wilderness of ideas.